Today we're making a spelt quinoa burger bun. Now, who doesn't love a great veggie burger? But honestly, it can't be a great veggie burger unless you have a great bun. And to me, a great bun means that it's homemade, either by yourself or by someone else or a wonderful bakery. And you know, baking bread is not hard, and it's so fun and it's so creative. It's really like an art. It's not difficult. You just need some time to let the dough rise, and we've got time to do that today, but the actual work is super easy. All right, you guys ready to get started? It's really easy. We're just gonna put the wet ingredients and the dry, mix them together, and I've decided to do this one without my stand mixer so you can see how to do it if you don't have one. It's just fun sometimes to knead the dough. Even though it's 10 minutes of work, I wanna do it with you without the stand mixer. All right, so here we go. We're gonna add into the water, we're gonna put some oil and some maple syrup. I didn't want to do an oil-free one because it's really difficult, and I wanted to do some delicious buns. So I'm spreading the oil out between all my buns. And this is aquafaba. Aquafaba is the liquid that's left over from the chickpeas. So this is going in my wet ingredients. Okay, and now we whisk that up. And now the dry ingredients. I've got my spelt flour, and I'm gonna add my quinoa flour and my yeast, the instant yeast, the best kind, and salt. And I'm gonna stir all that together. The quinoa flakes make for a nice high protein bun, but also it's really light when you add the quinoa flakes. If you don't have quinoa flakes, you can just substitute that for another flour like oat flour or just all-purpose flour. The spelt flour is more like the whole wheat one, so you would like a lighter flour if you're not going to use quinoa flakes. Okay, that's it. Now we make a little well, and we pour the wet into the dry, and now we mix it around. And we're basically looking just to get a shaggy dough. At some point in here, you gotta put your hands. Some people do it right from the beginning, but I find it easier to do once it gets mixed. And I think you've heard me say before, but in case not, you always wanna put less flour. I have more flour here to use for my kneading because that's gonna add more flour into the dough once we start kneading. So at this stage, you always want less, not more. It doesn't need to be thoroughly mixed at this point because we're gonna put this right onto the counter and knead it, but right now I'm just gonna get it coming together. So a great tool is one of these flexible spatulas. This is invaluable. You see how I scrape down those sides like that? So that's the first thing I do. And then I just bring it over. So it's like you go over here, and it helps you not have to get it all over your hands and makes a lot easier work of bringing it together into a ball. See how that's coming into an easy ball with this? It's hard to do that with your hands. So once I get the dough together with my hands, I immediately get this. And see, I can take this and just flip the whole thing over. See how that now looks like a nice, kind of like a shaggy dough ball. That's perfect. Okay, so now we need to knead it, and it's gonna be kneaded for about 10 minutes. So I'm gonna set the timer, and then we are going to flour the counter. And I'm going to dust my hands a little and bring this here. So we dust our dough ball there. And then, as you know, this is something we do by hand. And now you fold it over, heel of your hand, turn it, and always making sure that you have, but you don't want to add two, but you always want to make sure that you don't get too much sticking, and fold it, knead it with the heel of your hand, turn it. the quinoa flakes, it makes it kind of textured, and I really like that because they're flakes and they're not quite fine milled as a flour. As long as it's sticky, you know you're not adding too much flour. This is why a stand mixer is so nice, but there's something very organic about doing your own kneading. Spelt flour has gluten in it, but as I've told you before, it's so healthy that many people that are gluten intolerant, they handle spelt no problem. So if you can't do gluten, you should give it a try, unless of course you have celiac disease, then you need to stay away from all gluten. And kneading is just a way of transforming the gluten in the dough. You can already see, do you see the texture? It's totally changing. See how much smoother it's looking? So it's really important that you don't undercut this. 10 minutes is 10 minutes. That's why I set my timer. Okay, so now I'm just gonna spray the bowl so that when I put it in there and it rises, it doesn't stick. And then I'm gonna put a little on my hands and just go like this. And then we drop it in the bowl, put a cover on it, and we're gonna go put that in a warm spot in my kitchen here, just over here, for an hour. But don't just go by the clock, it needs to double in size, okay? If it's cold in your kitchen, then you can put it in the oven with the light turned on, but not the temperature. But check it, because once it's doubled in size, we're ready to make our burger rolls. Okay, hopefully 1 hour, but it'll be doubled when you see it next time. Wow. Isn't that fantastic? So it is ready, and you can take your little spatula, because it's flexible, and just go around the edges. But the main thing is it's gonna deflate. We can even punch it down. That's the deal. And now we flour our counter. Beautiful. I love the color of whole grain spelt flour. So awesome. So now we just need to cut it into 8 pieces, because I want to make 8 buns, but you could make 12, you could make 16, because if you want to do sliders, then you can make cool little square buns or round buns, but we're just gonna eyeball it. So, as we always do to shape these, we just pull the edges towards you. If you're doing it like this, you just pull them towards you like this. If you want to do it this way, you can pinch the bottom, or you can wrap it under. I like doing it towards me, it's just easier. And that helps the surface of the dough become tighter and stretched, and then it fills with gas as it rises the second time. So you want to get this into a nice tight little ball. Always the last step of this is to take a piece of your counter that's not floured very well, and you just take your hand and you go like this. Do you see? I like cup it and I move it around, and that helps the bottom become sealed together. So again, see, this is sticky. This has a little flour from being on here, so you want the sticky part to go to the sticky part. See that? See? So that's why when you do it this way, if this side was also floured, then you wouldn't get it to stick. So it's really important at this point not to use much flour. You really want the dough sticky. You can seal it like this. This is what many people do. And once you seal it like that, then you can take it and roll it. I'll do it here so you can see. Okay. So now, look at, they're already growing. Now we cover these, and we're gonna put them back over there for probably 30 minutes, but they need to get big again, and then we'll be ready to bake them. Okay, so depending on the temperature of your kitchen, they're gonna rise anywhere from 30 minutes to 1 hour. And about 20 minutes before they're ready, I turn my oven on to 400 and I start preheating it. So we'll be back, and then we're gonna brush the tops with some milk, and then we're gonna bake them. I can't wait. Okay, they are ready. Wow, so delicious, and I can't wait. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just brush the tops with a little plant-based milk and put them in the oven, but I like to add just a little dash of maple syrup and a little dash of mustard because it just gives it a special little coating. And we're going to whisk that around, and now we just brush that on, and in the oven they go. Carefully, don't deflate them. Just sprinkle some seeds on and get them in the oven. Okay, in they go. 15 minutes and they'll be ready. Okay, the timer just went off. Let's go get them. Wow. I love bread and baking bread. It's so cool. And you know, I didn't make them even, but that doesn't matter. A little bit smaller, a little bit bigger. Look at that golden crust. Now, we're gonna let them cool right here for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then they need to cool out of the pan. So let me take a look at underneath. Check out the bottom. Beautiful bun. Can't wait to eat it. I'm gonna put them over here. See, and when they stick together, it's like the ones you buy at the store. They just pull right apart. Oh, so delicious. How about those buns? And I grilled up some mushrooms because I had them. My next recipe I'm gonna make is a delicious veggie burger that's gonna go inside of these, but I didn't make that today, so I'm just gonna test a small one out, and I'm gonna stack it with some sauteed button mushrooms like this. They're actually the big kind, and then I flatten them out, and I just put a little bit of sesame seeds and aminos, garlic salt and onion salt, and actually garlic powder and onion powder, not salt. And then I just will put those in the bun to try it. So this is gonna be the one I'm gonna sample. I think it's the small one, so let's do that. Meanwhile, I'll take some photos and then we'll be back to try it out. Okay, it's that time, and I'm gonna taste test it, but I just wanna show you, like, look how nice and soft it is. See, when they sit like this, let's take this cover off. Look how beautiful they look. And you see how nice and soft they are. So it's probably still a little warm to cut, but I'm gonna do it anyway, and I'm just gonna taste it by itself because that's a true taste test. And then I'm gonna stuff some mushrooms in. So let's give it a nice cut. Because it's warm, I'm gonna carefully, wow, look at that. Wow. There's such a good smell when something has yeast in it. That's amazing. So I think, of course, we're gonna stuff some in here, but I just wanna show you, like, look at how nice and light, and it's just moist, and oh my gosh. Wow, that's crazy. So I'm gonna eat this piece by itself because I feel like that's the true taste test. Really nice. It's kind of like a portobello mushroom burger, right? Here we go. So I like to grill my mushrooms. I get those, well, there's a lot of different kinds, but they're almost like baby portobellos, or else the really large mushrooms, and then you put them in your pan whole. And then I stick another pan on top of it, and smash them down, and they get so great for burgers. Of course, you could put the lettuce, tomato, avocado, dressing, but it's a taste test of the bun, and I don't want to cover up the flavor of the bun, so I'm just doing it like this so I can have mostly the taste of the bun. Okay, you guys, I'm going to stand right here and finish this, but I'm not going to let you suffer because I know you're wishing you had one right now, and I wish you were right here at my counter so we could share it together. But anyways, have a great one, and thanks for subscribing. I'll see you next time. Yum.